this crowd of people and use the hunter blade still on the enemies. People look at this boss in horror and say that this is a reward for the boss. Didn't he just scream the loudest? He must fight. Two swordsmen run away from the skeleton and say that he will probably leave from here, because this is not his business. He was just passing by here. They should quickly flee from here. If they die, they will lose all equipment and experience. After this battle, the skeleton puts his blades behind his back and says that this was the 404th enemy defeated. He looks somewhere to the side while his body disappears and says that there are still 3 corpses. 3 days ago, the man who was sitting in his office tells Lula, who was standing in front of him, that he is disappointed. With his abilities, he could become a shareholder in their company Destiny. His future is limitless. But he insisted on investigating the disappearance, thereby damaging the interests and reputation of the company. The man raises his voice and says that the board of directors voted and decided that he was fired. Does he want to say anything else about this? Lulai says he has nothing to say. In the system window, his name is written, and that his age is 26 years old, height 183. He is the former director of game R&D at Destiny, lead analyst, and master of science in computer science. Lulai leaves his office and says that he can't do anything, so he will quit. The man sighs and says that he is very sorry that such talent is wasted. Secretary Wang must find a replacement to take his place. If she can't find it, then she must report that they will add 20 million to Lulai's salary. He calls the secretary several times, but she doesn't answer him. He raises his voice and asks who is he even telling this to. Tired Secretary Wang stands next to him and thinks that when she chose this job, she just wanted to see Lulai every day. Once he leaves, it will be time for her to retire. What is this old man? He talks very loudly. Immediately after this, Lulai goes outside with a photo in his hand and silently looks at something. He looks at this photograph and mentally tells himself he finally has a clue to his disappearance. He walks across the bridge and thinks that he will definitely find it. Sometime later, Lulai stands still and thoughtfully looks at something in front of him. He looks at the city confusedly and asks where he lives. This was due to the fact that he is a workaholic who has only been home once in 2 years. He also suffers from topographical cretinism, and of course, does not distinguish between north, south, west, and east. Sometime later, the girl says loudly many times that they are breaking up. A very angry girl points at the Alfei guy and tells this brief... You have 5 seconds before the door is sealed. 5, 4, 3. That he was talking about how she is his only treasure. But why does he have 60 contacts in WeChat? Alfei tells Azi that he will explain everything. She gets very angry and says that she is not even going to listen. He always lies. She leaves and loudly says that they are breaking up. She doesn't even want to see him. As he runs away from this apartment, runs past Lulai and wipes his tears, and Alfei asks her to listen to him. He runs after her and asks her not to leave. He says that everything he said is the absolute truth. They are all very dear to him. Each of them holds a special place in his heart. He was very embarrassed when he saw Lulai, who had just come to him and called him brother. Lulai looks at him and says that he Alfei puts his hand on his shoulder and says that's not true. He always has time. Lulai is about to say something about his girlfriend, but he doesn't have time because he interrupted him and says that this is nonsense. In 2 days, everything will be normal again. He comes to the table and says that they can go into the house. Is he thirsty? What should I pour him? Lulai notices the girl's underwear on the sofa he's sitting on and asks, did he say something about drinking? He carefully picked it up and said that he had told him more than once that he had to pay attention to hygiene. He should be more observant in his personal life. Alfei pushes it aside and says with a confused expression that he knows it.
ti?
Lulai says with an annoyed
Šta si
expression
ti?
that he is still throwing things around the house. Afe tells his
A,
brother that this time he should stay with him for
kupa.
2 more days. He's just in a hurry to get somewhere every time. Lulai says that maybe he really should stay here longer this time. Afe asks, is this true? It's just great.
Zanimljivo.
Does he want to go to the barbecue? Although he is probably very tired after work, we need to take him for a massage. He need not worry, this is a good place. Lulai says he has a clue about his elder brother's disappearance. Afe asks with a happy expression, did he say he has a clue? Suddenly his face became
Naravno.
very serious, and he says that the equipment that he
Trebalo
ordered
bi
to
da
be
mogu.
prepared is already ready.
Ne mogu da uteram
Destiny's false
sistemski
moon will
komand.
officially open today at midnight. Lulai says that's it.
Verovatno bi
The
trebalo
reason for the
završiti
elder
tu
brother's disappearance must be
mogu da
related
menjam
to this game.
sistem ili je to
He thinks he
bilo i u
needs to
normalnoj
act.
igri.
After some time, the alarm clock set for the night turns on and starts making sounds. Lulai takes off his glasses. He is sitting in a new suit, the same as Afe's. They both hold helmets in their hands and nod to each other. They both put on the helmet and the system alerts Lulai that ID verification is starting. Identity confirmed. Is he sure he wants to start the game? He agrees and the system window says, welcome to the world of the false moon. An elf assistant appears in front of him, as well as in front of other players, who says that she is an elf assistant in the game False Moon. They can call her SS. The game will start very soon. She wishes them a happy journey in this fantastic reality. In the system windows, it is written that loading is in progress.
Fuck you.
Neurons are connected.
Ovo
The
bi trebalo
sensory
mi
system
skida
is
puno
connected.
puta.
Vision correction is carried out. Connecting scenes, setting up lighting effects. Data loading is complete.
Uf,
The creation of his character begins. He entered the newcomer's village in Moblin. Lulai appears surrounded by many other players and looks around. A system window appears in front of him, in which it is written that he has the first level. There is no class. Attributes: strength 15 points, intelligence 25 points, agility 12 points, endurance 14 points, resistance 0 points, charm 0 points. He is an aspiring adventurer. Lulai examines his body and thinks that the neural connection is well optimized. The temperature and humidity in the game are very similar to real life. Afe comes towards him with some girl, energetically waves his hand and tells his brother that he is here. This is his new friend Amy. Maybe they can team up and complete the mission together. Lulai waves his hand at them and says they can go first. Afe points to herself and asks if they can go first. Doesn't he want to go? The tasks for beginners are the same. Lulai goes somewhere and says that they have different paths. He can go and improve his skills. Afe is confused by this and asks what he means by saying they have different paths. Lulai steps aside and calls out to SS. The elf appears next to him and tells the owner that she is here. He says that she must open a special redemption code. A system window appears in front of him, in which it is written that a special redemption code window has opened for him. He must enter the code and his password. Lulai enters a very long password that he once came up with. The system notifies you that the password is correct. The operation was carried out successfully. He has 3 unread letters and needs to check it. The elf asks the owner what kind of system alerts are these. She can't identify it. Lulai looks at the system window with letters with a calm expression and says that this is a third-party program he created. The elf was very surprised by this and asked if he said it was a third-party program. He must stop using the plugins, otherwise his account will be blocked forever. Lulai looks at something and says that these things are hidden in the base code of the game. The system will not be able to find it. And to find it manually, it will take at least 6 months. So it's impossible. The system window says that he received 1 item. Bracelet of Omniscience, required level 10. It is universal for all classes. Strength 0 points, increase in characteristics strength, intelligence, agility, endurance, resistance, and charm increased by 5 points. Feature: the level of the item increases along with the level of the hero. Every 10 levels, the quality of the item will increase. Hidden attribute: each time the quality of an item increases, one of the owner's professional skills can be obtained by chance. Lulai tells SS that she should help him hide it. The elf says that this bracelet is very beautiful. Why would he hide it? He says it's too conspicuous, and he likes it to be discreet. He opens the next letter. In the system window, it says that item number 2 is a book of random achievements.
Te fixați pe ce nu-și mai de mici.
Every 10th level, an achievement task is randomly generated based on the character's events, for completing which he can receive random rewards. Hidden attribute is unknown. Lulai looks at this book that appeared in his hand, and says that it seems that he only entered the instructions for the powerful prompts, and the rest is randomly generated by artificial intelligence. The elf says that she thinks this is a very interesting prompt. In the system window, it is written that item number 3 is an invitation letter from Asura. Lulai receives the scroll in his hands and thinks that it is the most important item. After 2 years at Destiny, he was finally able to get it. He opens it and thinks that during the closed beta testing, his brother received this letter. He opens this scroll and thinks that this thing must be the reason for his brother's disappearance. If something happens to it, the key will be lost. Afe should not face such difficulties again. This scroll says that this is an invitation letter from Asura. Advice from the sender. Without fear of anything, he must follow his heart and find himself. The one who places it will be killed. Those who are against him will be killed, and no one will be able to stop him. A system window appears in front of him, in which it is written that he can change his profession to Asura. Please note, if accepted, a new storyline will be launched. Lulai agrees to this proposal with a very serious expression on her face. At the same moment, he felt a very strong pain in the heart area. He grabbed his chest because of this intense pain. Suddenly, he is transported to an unknown space, and several skeletons in long black clothes stand around him. All these skeletons take out bright red daggers and look at them with an evil expression on their faces. They all pierce Lulai's chest with a sharp dagger blade, and this surprised him greatly. He begins to lose consciousness and wonders what is going on here. He doesn't know this plot. This pain is very realistic. The system notifies that it has been detected that his character is dead. Error. Characters in this area cannot be attacked. A system error has occurred and a restart is occurring. Restart failed. Lulai falls in a space filled with system windows and wonders where he ended up. It's very dark here and he can't see anything. The game doesn't freeze. He wants to quit the game. The system notifies you that an error has occurred. Its data source code has not been discovered. Impossible to exit the game. Lulai wonders, quitting the game is impossible. The exit command is mandatory. How did it happen that he couldn't get out? The system must correct the incorrect code. The system must respond to him. Suddenly, he found himself underground and pulled himself out with his hand. He crawled out of the ground in the body of a skeleton and wonders if the system has been restored. A window appears in front of him, in which it is written that his level is first. There is no class. Attributes: Strength 20 points, Intelligence 30 points, Agility 17 points, Endurance 19 points, Resistance and Charm 5 points. He is a broken skeleton warrior. Lulai looks at his hands and wonders how he became a skeleton. Isn't this Asura? He looks around and asks what kind of place is this. Some monster with a staff stands in front of him and says that his servant must wait. He smiles and says that it looks like the summoning was successful. In the system window, it is written that this is the epic boss Sai Yin, a level 30th summoner of the undead. Ability Hellish Chains, Corroding Fire, Summoning the Undead. Lulai looks at this summoner and wonders, this is an NPC. Right? He wants to try to talk to him. He greets and asks where he is. Kai Yin was surprised by this and wonders why he can talk. Did he really summon a rare level skeleton? Lulai turns around and thinks that since he's not talking to him, he will look for someone else to find out everything. Kai Ying is angry about this and wonders why he didn't kneel down. Looks like he's naughty. A bright light appears in his eyes, and he thinks that then the whip did not fall on the slave. He still thinks that he is a man. After that, he immediately uses the Infernal Chains skill, and a magic circle appears behind it, from which chains fly out. These chains grabbed Lulai, which confused him very much, and he loudly asks what is he doing. He asks if he is wondering what he is doing. He laughs and says that he is teaching him to be an obedient dog. Lulai, shamed, looks at him and wonders, is this the new boss? He says he is only level 1.
Jer
He
sad
doesn't have
mogu
any
pričam s
skills.
nekim.
Who developed this plot? Suddenly, a very strong explosion occurs next to them, which destroys Kai Yin, breaks the chains, and throws Lu Lai several
Šta je
tens
on
of
tam
meters
sad
away.
radi?
The chains with which he was shackled scatter in different directions, and he
Sigurno
slides
ima
on his
nešto
back several
zanimljivo.
meters and crashes into a tombstone. Lu Lai looks at something in front of him with great surprise and asks, "What is this?" He sees a huge monster in front of him, which is called the Great Saru, and he says very loudly that this monster is too huge. Did he really make a mistake with map? How can he play here? He calls SS, after which an elf appears in front of him and tells the owner that she is already here. He has a cool new outfit. Lu Lai asks, "What kind of place is it?" The elf tells the owner that he is now in the lands of pitch darkness. This is the home of all the high-level bosses in the game False Moon. This is the area with the highest level of danger. Lu Lai grabbed his head and asked how he should play here. Is it really impossible to complete some task? The elf says that he should wait. She will check it now. It creates several windows of the system and closely checks it all. She says that the request was completed successfully. 100 kilometers away, there is a point where the task can be completed. The owner must follow her. Lu Lai was embarrassed when he heard that this point was 100 kilometers away from him. After some time, he crawls along a high mountain over which dragons fly and asks, "Wasn't there a normal path?" The elf tells the owner that this is the shortest way. The bypass road is 400 kilometers long.
Jel ima uvek
After some
spiše?
more time, Lu Lai struggles to swim away from the huge monster and asks SS what path she chose.
Ljubav
The
beta.
elf tells the owner that she wishes
Zanimljivo,
him.
zanimljivo.
Would you like some background music? Lu Lai loudly refuses this and
Refuses.
panics over what is happening. The elf tells the owner that he has a new message from the user Afe. He writes to his brother that he took on one task and washed 20 wild boars. It exhausted him a little, but he had already reached level 5. Lu Lai writes that this is quite good. Afe asks, what does he have there? What level is he at? Is he going to cultivate secretly? Have you already reached a high level and found a good weapon? Lu Lai refuses and writes that he is still at the first level. Afe writes that this is not like him. He's tired of messing around with monsters and won't do it anymore. As he always said. Lu Lai writes that he is busy now, so he says goodbye to him. Sometime later, he runs away very quickly from a huge insect-like monster, and the elf tells the owner that he must run faster, because it is chasing him. Lu Lai continues to run away and loudly says that what she says does not make him feel any better. Sometime later, the elf looks at something in front of him and tells the owner that they have reached their destination. Lu Lai looks at the huge abandoned city they came to and says that they have finally arrived here. He walks a little further and sees a crowd of people walking towards the gate and asks, does he need to wait in this line to get inside? The elf says it will take about 2 hours. Lu Lai says that there is an entrance there, but no one is in a hurry to go there. The elf looks at this and tells the owner that this is not the planned route. Lu Lai quickly runs towards this entrance and says that the entrance does not matter. The main thing is to get into the city. Her route is too cruel. The elf is about to object, but he interrupts her and says that she should not get in the way. She agrees with him and says nothing to this. After some time at the entrance, which is guarded by 2 large monsters, one of them asks what's the matter. Lu Lai approached them and said that he was in a hurry. Can they let him in? The big monster says that he understands him. Since he is in a hurry, he can come in. He thanked them for it and thinks it was much easier than he thought. The monsters laugh and say that he shouldn't thank them. He should come in soon. They smile very broadly, laugh loudly, and say that he is so funny, and he also thanked them. Can they come in and watch him die? The system notifies that the registration time for the Fengyun platform has expired. The monster guard says that if he wins at Fengyun, he will become rich. If he loses, he will be subjected to mortal torture. Lu Lai walks along a long corridor and thinks that he has finally come to the right place. He reaches the end of the corridor, and someone loudly says in surprise that this is amazing. He finally came out. Some monster in a suit points at him and says that their last member is already here. They can look at basic information about the player. Lu Lai's characteristics in the system window appear in front of everyone, and this monster asks, what is it? Is he just at the first level? Other creatures that are in this room ask, is he a completely fearless idiot? Are they making fun of him? Did he come to the fight or the show? You can crush it with just your little finger. The monsters who stood in the arena turn to him and look at him with a smile. The monster with glasses says that this is just cannon fodder. He hopes that there will be at least something interesting. They should discuss it more quietly. He understands that they can't wait anymore. Now they should pay attention. The Fendian battle is starting. All the creatures that are sitting in the stands begin to scream
Jeszcze nie masz
loudly with
doświadczeń
joy
mózgowych.
because of what is happening. The monster with the microphone says that their favorite commentator, Quick Rabbit, will be with them throughout the battle. His partner is embarrassed and tries to say something, but he continues to say that this is not the first time they have heard the rules, but he will repeat it again for the new ones. Fendian rules. First, the competition takes place in duel mode. The one who reaches the end will win. Second, in order for the competition to be fair, the entry level will be adjusted taking into account the lowest level of the participant, not lower than the 10th level. Skills and equipment can be used within the level. Everything is set by the Fendian platform. Third, if the opponent does not admit defeat, then another criterion for a participant's victory is killing his opponent. As for the rewards, the winner this time will receive 5,000 experience points and an epic weapon. Quick says they will now begin adjusting everyone's levels. This time the level has dropped to the lowest level in the history of Fengyun. The monsters whose level has dropped to the 10th level are asking why there are only 2 skills left at the 10th level. The Nirvana skills he just learned can no longer be used. This skeleton had better not cross paths with him, otherwise he would break all his bones. He doesn't think that equal levels can compensate for the gap in combat experience and skills, right? Blue Lai, who has increased to level 10, thinks that he would have been better off listening to SS. He made a stupid mistake. The system notifies the player who has temporarily reached the 10th level. Now he can choose a class. There are many different classes in front of Blue Lai that he can choose from, and he wonders what should he choose from these classes. When he played computer games, he was always told that he was suitable for the role of a killer. Then he will choose this particular class. The system notifies that he has chosen the role of a killer. In the system window, it is written that Lu Lai is level 10, killer class. Attributes: strength and agility 60 points, intelligence 45 points, endurance 30 points, resistance 10 points, charm 8 points. He is a broken skeleton warrior. Quick asks if the contestants are adapting to their new level. I wonder. Time waits for no one. Now they will distribute weapons to everyone. The system notifies that he has temporarily received sharp dagger weapons. Blue Lai looks at his weapon and thinks he will have to try this, but the daggers look good. If he cannot win, he will simply admit defeat. Then there shouldn't be any problems. Quick says the most important part begins. This year they have a highlight of the program. They should warmly welcome the invited guests, the Dream Master. Those who perform well in this competition can become their students.
Fuck you.
On the left is their celebrity master Zhuang Yue. In the system window, it is written that his position is the master of the Northern Blood Moon Hall. Function, responsible for external Blood Moon battles. Quick says that more than half of Blood Moon's combat power comes from Master Zhuang Yue.
Stupid.
70% of the masters are his students. If he notices them, they will be able to become famous, improve themselves, and reach unprecedented heights. All the monsters who are in this arena loudly tell Master Zhuang Yue that he is his fan. He should look at it. He is a swordsman, and hopes that he will take him on as an apprentice. He is his lost son. Quick says that the beauty of the Blood Moon, Master Yu, sits on the left. In the system window, it is written that her position is the master of the Eastern Blood Moon Hall. Function, responsible for the distribution of Blood Moon resources. Quick says that Yu is truly a luxurious beauty. Her mental strength is unfathomable, and her training conditions are extremely harsh. So far, she has only accepted one student. However, this student turned out to be a genius. He won 10 victories in a row on their platform. His name is Han Yixia. One of the monsters calls her loudly and wants to say something, but the other monster says that he should not shout. She has a bad character. If she doesn't like something, she will kill someone. Other monsters say that he heard that someone looked at her on the street, and as a result, he was dismembered and fed to the dogs. He heard that a guard had his tongue pulled out after shouting her name. Lu Lai heard the name Hanyx yell, thinks it is his brother's name. Finally, he had a clue. This woman must know something. He needs to somehow get closer to her. Wai notices him staring at her and wonders how this idiot dares to look at her. Is he tired of living? She will see how he performs in the duel. However, she doesn't know what he will do with his skills. Why not just get rid of it? Quick says very loudly that they are ending the show. Who will get the reward? They have to look at it all together. His partner quietly asks, will he say anything? Quick gives his name and says he will be commentating in real time. They should watch the first fight. This dragon is the most promising player from the Blood-Live clan, Bloodclaw. This is a legendary wild lion family that is superior to others. A new representative of the generation of bloody lions. Its sharp claws are indestructible and extremely sharp. He is an established starter. He killed his opponent with one blow. He won by an overwhelming margin. The second promising member from the Great Sword Society, Zombie Swordsman Bailey. This is a newly born clan in the southern part. He is the vice president of the Great Sword Gang. Rumor has it that he is quite famous in his homeland. His sword is fast, precise, and merciless. Countless masters had lost to his sword. Looks like he'll win pretty easily. A third winner has already appeared, a devil with two blades named Gur. He came from a remote wilderness, but he should not be underestimated. Quick says that the fourth place is a contestant. He is surprised when he notices Lu Lai, who has defeated his opponent, and asks what happened there. It's cannon fodder after all. Did anyone even see how this happened? How did he do it? It is very interesting. It looks like the second round will be even more exciting. The system screen shows those who have advanced to the next stage and will fight in the semifinals. The next fight is between Cannon Fodder and the devil with two blades, Gur. He stands in front of Lu Lai with his swords and says that he must surrender.
Zašto niko mi je brblja kad sam prošao kroz one? Obično su brblje 300-400 na sat.
At the same time, someone uses a fireball spell and it hits the big monster. Amy, who is standing next to Afe, says he is amazing. They destroyed the goblins in the enemy. The other girl says she's right. There were so many of them. How did he do it? He must teach her this. Afe laughs and says with a smug expression that it's all so simple. It's not worth even mentioning it. The girl says that, however, they think he is very strong. Amy agrees and asks how strong he is. Afe says that his brother is even stronger than him. Do they want to see him? He smiles, slightly thinking about him, and says that when they see him, they will understand how strong he is. At the same time, Gur stands still and looks at how Lu Lai slowly and silently walks towards him. Quick looks at them and says that it looks like their cannon fodder is very cold-blooded. He has no intention of accepting his rival's kindness. Gur points his sword at him and says that he still doesn't seem to understand the whole situation. He missed his only chance to survive, but he doesn't have to worry about it. He swings his swords, releases his energy, and says that his death will be painless. Gur very quickly delivers a strong blow with his swords and Quick, surprised by what is happening, says that his technique is so fast that it is simply impossible to follow his movements. He is very surprised by what just happened and says that it looks like their cannon fodder managed to dodge this blow. Jir is also surprised by what happened and says it was an accident. He delivers another very strong blow using his energy, but Lu Lai manages to dodge this attack again. Quick was very surprised by what happened and loudly says that their cannon fodder again managed to dodge the blow. Gur swings his swords, prepares to deliver his most powerful blow yet, and tells that damn snake that he has to stop dodging. He releases very strong energy, but Lu Lai jumped up and dodged this attack. Quick was very surprised by what happened and asks what just happened. How does he even do this? Lu Lai stares straight ahead and thinks that his enemy's arm is 80 centimeters long. The blade of the enemy weapon is 100 centimeters. The length of the handle is 20 centimeters. In addition to the length of the arm, the maximum strike length should be 200 centimeters. He He needs to keep a distance of more than 200 centimeters. As long as he watches the distance, he will not touch him. But he should not forget about throwing weapons or ranged combat
Imam
skills.
points
The
глед
enemy swings
колко
at a speed of
ne
half
mogu
a
da ih
second.
koristim.
Acceleration
Fuck you.
reaches up to 160 kilometers per hour. With his reaction, it is not difficult to avoid it. So, now that he's at a safe distance, it looks like his next move will be an instant strike. This is a direct hit that will stop him moving for a while. If he takes this chance, he can win. People from the crowd loudly tell Jir that it turns out he's not that strong. Why can't he cope with the first level?
Burn.
Isn't he ashamed? He must leave
Znaš
here
što ovo nije
immediately.
super efektiv? A
Jir is
to je
very
jebeni
angry about
cvet.
this and loudly says that he is furious. This guy was just lucky. One hit and he'll cut him in half. He jumps high, swings his swords, and is about to strike instantly and thinks that he should come to him. Lu Lai swings his daggers and thinks that he needs to move to the left 80 centimeters, bend over 60 centimeters, and activate the critical strike ability.
Ovo je...
He dodged his enemy's blow perfectly and delivered a powerful blow with his daggers. Gur was very surprised by what just happened and asks what happened. How is this even possible? He fell to the ground, and while blood flows from his wounds, he wonders how she could die like that without becoming a ruler. Lu Lai silently walks away from him with his daggers in his hands. Quick is very surprised by what just happened and loudly says that the battle is over. The cannon fodder has won. He cannot believe his eyes. Was their new member pretending to be an innocent lamb? What is he hiding? They should applaud the victory of Cannon Fodder. He's looking forward to his next outing. Zhuang Huai looks at Lu Lai, who won this battle, and says that this is quite an interesting character. What does she think about this? Wai Yu also looks at him and says that he is just using his brain. There is nothing surprising. She thinks that at least it wasn't so boring. She is glad that he has not died yet. Zhuang Huai says it's true. He's still at the lowest level, so he's just trash. Quick says loudly that everyone should be quiet. Although the last battle was interesting, but now will be the most exciting match. This time it can be said that it is a championship battle. A battle is announced between the Bloody Lion, the Bloody Claw against the zombie swordsman Beilei. The battle begins. The two opponents entered the arena and stood in front of each other. Bloody Claw points his finger at his opponent and asks with a smug expression on his face, does he himself understand that he is no match for him? Beilei looks at him and says that he is really not as good as him. He gets into a fighting stance and says that, however, as long as he has a sword, he will go ahead. Nothing will stop him. He uses water technique, instant strike skill, and runs very quickly and smoothly towards him. Quick was very surprised by this and loudly asked what it was. He used a combination kick. This move is at least 5 times faster than the tiger's. He will soon cut off the head of the Bloody Claw. Beilei moves very quickly and says that this is the price he will pay for underestimating him. Blood Claw calmly looks at the blow of the sword that flies towards him and says that he must remember that he is from the Blood Lion clan. He stops the sword attack by biting the blade and Quick asks very loudly, what is this? This is impossible. Blood Claw concentrates very strong energy in his hands and uses the powerful claw skill. He strikes very hard with both hands and defeats Beilei with 2 simultaneous strikes with his paws. Blood Claw stands in front of his opponent's corpse and looks at it for a while in size. He smiles and says that he thought he was a little stronger, but in reality he turned out to be just trash. Quick hugs his partner tightly and says loudly that he turned out to be very strong. Beilei, whom they had high hopes for, lost after the first blow. The Fengyan champion is almost determined. The monsters who sit in the stands loudly chant to them of the Bloody Claw, who stands in the middle of the arena with his arms spread to the sides. Zhuang Huai looks at him and says that this lion is not bad. His bloodline is pure, and he has a good base. Wai Yu asks if he is really interested in his bloodline. He shouldn't make her laugh. Lu Lai looks at the Bloody Claw and wonders what just happened. He literally crushed his opponent's weapon with his teeth. Since the weapon was individual, it was not so easy to destroy. Even though the level is reduced to 10, his base is much higher than the average level. Bloody Claw turns to him and calls him a mistake of nature, which attracts his attention. He laughs, releases a very strong aura, and asks if he dares to go against him. He hasn't played enough yet. Wasn't it majestic now? He must not give up. Of course, he has the courage. Lulai looks at him and thinks that if only he had analyzed everything earlier, it looks like he really has no chance of winning. Of course there is a way to get closer to her. He just needs to win. Quick coughs and loudly calls for the cannon and says that he has already shown himself well. Second place is already a good result. Wire looks at them and thinks that if he doesn't go on stage, it will be a complete disappointment. He's not that boring, is he? Lulai looks at his opponent with a serious expression and wonders how he can hope to find his brother if he gives up at the slightest difficulty. In this whole damned world, the only people left to him were his brothers. They are more important to him than his own life. No difficulties can stop him. After that, he enters the arena, and the next final battle is announced between the lion and the bloody tiger against the cannon fodder. The lion laughs very loudly and says that lower beings are so stupid. It would be better if he chose something more suitable to his level. He smiles and says that he will just think of it as dessert before victory. He must use his despair, his remorse, to please him. Lulai looks at him with a serious expression and asks why he talks so much. Is he going to fight? He moves very quickly towards his opponent, but Blood Claw calmly stands still, looks at him and says that his speed is not the same as before. He's too slow. He strikes with his paw, but suddenly Lulai jumps over him and ends up behind him. He immediately turns around and notices that his opponent is about to strike with a dagger. The Bloody Claw manages to dodge this dagger strike at the last moment, and Lulai then spins in the air and lands on his feet. The lion looks at his opponent and thinks that it turns out that his speed is fine. He almost forgot that he is a killer. I think he was faking it before, but he is still too weak for him. He makes a very strong swing of his arm and releases a very strong stream of energy towards his opponent. Lulai dodges this attack by jumping back several meters. He stops, looks at his opponent, and thinks that he is strong enough. With one speed, he will not be able to win. All of his skills are definitely much higher than his. Blood Claw looks at him and thinks he looks like he's going to jump. He notices that Lulai was able to wound his face and blood flowed from this wound and wonders when this happened. Didn't he notice it? This is a shame, just humiliation. So many creatures suffer. But he is the leader of the younger generation, but he was hurt by the weapons of this garbage. He dared to hurt him. The system notifies that he is using passive energy, a bloody battle. Within 5 seconds, your critical strike chance will increase by 20%. Blood Claw slowly walks towards him, releases a very strong aura, and says that he wants him to meet the most ignominious end. Quick looks at this and says in surprise that this is incredible. This cannon fodder can fight with the Bloody Claw. These are not empty words. Why looks at this and thinks that this is strange because his rank and bloodline are at the lowest level. The further you go, the more interesting it becomes. Quick says loudly that he looks like he's really, really angry. Now he will fight at full strength. Bloody Claw runs very fast after Lulai and asks loudly, does he think he is very fast? Then he will show him what the speed of which he is so proud is. They both run after each other very fast and throw very strong blows. Bloody Claw makes a strong blow with his paw, but Lulai managed to block it with his daggers and thinks that he is very strong. He was thrown very hard several meters, but he tries to stay on his feet and slides along the floor. He couldn't stand it and says it looks like he lost his balance. Blood Claw jumps towards him, sends strong energy into his paws, and says that he will see how he dodges this. He uses a powerful claw skill, and with a very angry expression on his face, says that he must remember that trash will always remain trash. Lulai looks at him with a calm expression, and says that he is very easy to catch. He had been waiting for this exact moment. His blow is lethal, but only for the first half a second. The system notifies that the backstab skill has been activated. Teleportation occurs behind enemy lines to launch a surprise attack. Lulai, who teleported behind his opponent, is already striking with his daggers and is about to say something about it. He releases a very strong red energy and says that in addition, he cannot turn around until the effect of this technique ends. Bloody Claw chuckles because of this and says that it is not bad for his level. However, this is of no use. The system notifies that the Bloody Lion's Fury technique has been activated. The Blood Claw makes a very loud scream and releases a very strong energy around itself. Blue Lie was surprised by this and realized that he could not move. Quick, who looks at this? Says loudly that it has finally happened. They will see the exclusive skill Blood Fury Line.
Прикольно ефекти.
Activating this skill paralyzes all enemies within a radius of 5 meters for 1.5 seconds.
Весь
UI is
другу
interested
бан.
in what is happening and says that he is so young and has such skill. That's not bad, he means it. YU looks at him and says that he takes on so much that he will die of greed. Juwon UI laughed and said that she still wouldn't take on more students. She thinks, however, she is interested in someone, so she will look into it. Bloody Claw swings his paw very hard and says that he should look. This is absolute power. This trash needs to give up. He hits Blue Lie very hard with his claws, and he screams loudly in pain. He is pushed back very strongly after this blow, and his hand, which was cut off by a strong blow from the claws, flies high up. He slid several meters along the floor due to such a strong blow, but stayed on his feet and held on to his shoulder. Suddenly his leg cracked, and the bone broke from such a strong blow. Because of this, Blue Lie lost his balance and begins to fall down, which greatly surprised him. Quick looks at this and says that he really feels sorry for the cannon fodder player. The Bloody Claw cut off his arm and leg where his only strength was speed. The outcome of the battle has already been decided. They have to see if he decides to give up, or if he decides to die. Blood Claw looks at him with a very angry expression on his face and laughs very loudly. He looks at it and says it looks better from this angle, but he doesn't have to give up. Blue Lie looks at him and asks what is he talking about. Bloody Claw says that even if the competition is over, he still won't let him go. He will play with him until he dies. He wants to please the crowd, but he need not worry. Perhaps they will remember him for 2 days. Blue Lie looks at him with a very serious expression and thinks that things can change quickly. The fish will soon swallow the bait. Bloody Claw slowly walks towards him and with a wide smile asks what would be better for them to play. Maybe break him one bone after another. Although this is too banal. Rip his head off and kick it like a ball. This already sounds more interesting. Of course it will hurt. Blue Lie looks at him while sitting on the floor and thinks that he is 3 steps away from him. The Bloody Claw continues to walk slowly towards him and says that he should not be silent. He can at least say a few words. It ruins his whole mood. He steps on the severed leg and asks him to forgive him for what he just did. A bright glow appeared in Blue Lie's eyes, and he thinks that now is the right moment. He stood up very suddenly and threw his dagger hard at his opponent. Suddenly his hand, which was lying on the floor, begins to move. While Blue Lie was jumping on one leg towards the lion, his hand also threw a dagger at that lion. The Bloody Claw, with a slight movement of his hand, reflects the dagger that was flying at him from the front and says that this is what he needs. Now at least he has fun from the fact that he is resisting. The blue lie in front of his face begins to disappear due to the fact that he activated the backstab skill. He grabbed the dagger that his hand threw and is about to strike unexpectedly, which greatly surprised the Bloody Claw. Blue Lie strikes a very strong blow with a dagger in the back of the surprised lion, and blood immediately flows from this wound. He starts coughing up blood and wonders what just happened. After this blow, the Bloody Claw falls to the ground while blood flows from his wound, and Blue Lie stands on one leg behind him. Wai was very surprised by what just happened before her eyes. Zhuang Huai was also very surprised by what he had just done. This entire arena fell into complete silence due to the very strong surprise of how this fight ended. Quick, very surprised by what happened, asks what it was. At the same moment, his partner takes off his glasses and loosens his tie. He gives off a very strong aura and says loudly that this is wonderful. It had been a long time since he had seen such a wonderful film. Now the angry turtle will present them with an analysis of everything he saw. This match was completely invented by the cannon fodder player. He remembers everything that happened and says that he showed his advantage in speed from the very beginning, from the weakest harm to the strongest. He angered Blood Claw so that he became unbalanced from the very beginning. Constantly demonstrating his weakness, he forced the Blood Claw to use his last trump card. The most interesting thing is that the arm and leg were not cut off by the Bloody Claw. His opponent cut it off for himself. And finally, in a hopeless situation, when everyone thought that he was doomed to death, he used the feature of the skeleton's body, since the severed bones are still associated with the spirit of the owner for some time. This is the end. A battle in which the weak defeats the strong. The turtle commentator points his finger at him and asks, did he analyze everything correctly? His name is Lu Lai, a new player. At the same moment, he is about to deliver the final blow to the Bloody Claw, which crawls away from him, asks to be saved, and says that he cannot die this way. Zhuang Yuai looks at what is happening with a very serious expression. Suddenly, he entered the arena between two opponents, and with a very strong stream of energy, threw Lu Lai away from the lion he was about to finish off. He releases a very strong energy with his hand and stares at him. He clenches his hand very tightly into a fist, and this energy begins to revolve around him. Suddenly, very strong currents of air begin to appear around Lu Lai, which completely destroyed his body. At the moment when all that was left of him was his skull, he wanders. He continues to disappear in this stream of energy, and thinks that he was so close to victory. Why he suddenly appears in the arena, catching his skull and dispersing the energy that Zhuang Yuai released. She concentrates very strong energy on the tip of her finger and uses the Sky Barrier spell. She releases a very powerful ball that she created from her black-red energy with enormous destructive power. Such a powerful spell completely destroyed the part of the arena into which it was directed. Zhuang Yuai, who was a little hurt by this spell, loudly calls Liu's name and asks this crazy woman, was she going to kill him? She can explain everything to him right now, but it doesn't seem to him that everything is so simple. He again calls her name very loudly, but she does not answer him. Instead, Wu Yu uses his magic to heal Lu Lai, and because of this, his body begins to slowly recover. She touches his skull and says that from now on, he is now her property. She completely restored his body, sends a flow of energy into his body, and says that this should help him recover. Lu Lai looks at his hands and thinks that his bones have not only recovered, but are also stronger than they were before. Yu again concentrates the black-red energy on the tip of his finger and asks, where is this rabbit and turtle? If they don't announce the result, she will tear off all their limbs. The turtle crawled out of his shell and said loudly that they were here. Quick hides behind him and says that he must save this as quickly as possible. The turtle says that the persecuted hero dared to devour the sun. They were witnessing a new rising star. They congratulate the new champion of the Fengyan competition. The system notifies that the reward for victory is being calculated. He receives 5,000 experience points. Learned a new skill, Dark Step, agility increased by 20%. Lu Lai's stats window says that he is level 15, assassin class. Attributes, strength 75 points, intelligence 62 points, agility endurance 37 points, resistance 15 points, charm 10 points. Achievements, Winter Fengyan, Broken Skeleton Warrior. The system notifies that his reward is a dagger of the 15th level, a bleeding blade with spikes. Lu Lai immediately receives his 2 daggers and thinks that this is a good win. In the system window, it is written that his weapon is a bleeding blade with spikes. Required to wear level 15, only for killers. Strength 100 points, attack 80 points, damage 20 points, attack speed 15 points. Feature, 10% of the damage dealt is converted into his own blood. The turtle looks at this and says that this attribute in itself is very good. Quick agrees with him and says that this is very suitable for battles of attrition. Combat endurance will be very useful in the next battles. Yu turns around and says that his injuries have been healed and his reward has been received. They should start Fengyan Jai quickly. Lu Lai looks at her and asks, what is this? Quick says that this is his first time taking part, so he may not know something. Fengyan is divided into 2 parts. The first is the battle in the ring. After this, the champion is allowed to participate in the In the window, the system says, Fengyan Jai rules. The champion of the first stage will appear in the game world for a limited time. His task, in order to survive, is to hunt as many enemies as possible and kill them in order to gain his own experience and compensation points. Points can be used for mutual transactions to purchase skills and weapons, and this can also be used for movement. Chuan Huai loudly calls out to Yu and says that this is not the end. She openly attacked the Lord. Does she really want to declare war? She will sue her. She is wasting resources aimlessly. Her ambitions will destroy her. They want to get rid of him because he wants all the resources in his hands. She shouldn't ignore him. Yu is very angry about what he said and says that it is time for him to rest. Chuang Huai asks, what did she just say? She raises her voice and says he should stop being so shameless. He might be punished for interrupting Fan. Does he want to save someone? He must have just noticed that guy from the bloodline family a long time ago. He clings to every little thing and also dares to throw mud at her. Chuang Huai gets very angry and is about to say something, but Yu loudly asks what he wants to say about it. If he wants, he can believe it, or he may not believe it, but when he goes to fight, his salary and rations will be cut. They won't even give you weapons. Lu Mai runs away from them and asks, they won't start fighting, will they? Quick, who's running next to him and his partner, says that if they have a fight, then half of the residents may suffer.
You doing that?
Wu Yu looked at him very angrily and said that he should not disgrace him. He may not even think about returning unless he kills at least 1,000 people. Lu Lai at this time runs into the portal that opened in this arena.
Няма шанса ми е
The
такова
system
коби.
notifies you that the book of random achievements item has been activated. The master's level was discovered to be above players. A random task is generated. The teleportation was successful. The countdown began. The code name of the operation was Bloody Traveler. Lu Lai, who found himself in the forest after entering the portal, looks at the book and says that he had almost forgotten about it. The system notifies that a random task has been generated. He must complete the task of Yu, kill 1,000 players. Execution time within the framework of friendly action. Please note, if this battle ends without the quest being completed, the quest will be invalid forever. The system notifies that the game Bloody Traveler will begin very soon. All players must prepare for this. The inscription Bloody Traveler appeared above Lu Lai's hand, and above several guys in front of him. It was written that they were
How you doing that? You are Aaron.
13th level, AC of the 15th level, Papa of the 17th level, a Chu of the 14th level.
Не може буде инстакилни. Пошто?
Skills are improved. His characteristics strength, intelligence, agility, endurance, resistance, and charm are increased by 5 points. The current quality of equipment is average. Every time a character increases its level by 10, the quality of attributes will improve. Equipment activation. Skills will be played out randomly. Each time equipment is upgraded, a new skill can be acquired. Random skills are distributed. One of the bald guys strikes quickly with his knife, but Lu Lai easily dodges this.
How you using that attack non-stop?
He has acquired the enemy hunter blades.
Confusion би трябвало да те успори тотално.
Physical damage is 110%, 120%, 130%, and 150%.
Треба ми
You
нещо
continue
там.
to strike and will automatically be able to attack enemy targets within 10 meters. Passive skill.
Що
For
я
each kill of an enemy,
що
physical damage
препорти
will
ми.
increase by 150%.
Чакай, зар нема гони бобица?
Eats the 4 guys very quickly and thinks that the damage from his blow increases depending on the number of attacks. As long as he reduces the opponent's blood volume and then uses the trick again. He uses the Hunter Blade skill on enemies and does a lot of quick strikes on the bald guys, and his combo is 16 hits. Lu Lai stops after this battle and thinks that he could theoretically create a perpetual motion machine. The system notifies that he has made 4 kills out of 1,000 and receives 400 experience points. He calls the elf assistant, after which she immediately appears and tells the owner that she is here. Lu Lai asks if other players can see his location. The elf agrees and says that the system will broadcast his location in real time to all players on the server. Blue Lie releases a very strong energy and thinks that then everything will be much easier. He heard someone's voice asking where the boss is. His face immediately became very serious, and he looks at the people in front of him. Sometime later, Blue Lie defeats a large group of monsters, and the system notifies that he has made 56 kills out of 1,000. After some time, he defeats another group of people, and the system notifies that he has made 156 kills out of 1,000. He continued to defeat large groups of enemies and achieved 314 kills out of 1,000. After that, Blue Lie sat on a branch of a tall tree and thinks that he has dealt with almost everyone in this area. Players get in his way less and less often.
How you'd kill me instant? Fuck you.
Because there is no way to pick up the weapon, it turns out that it is a waste. At the same moment, he notices Lou Ren, who saw a lot of weapons in a clearing, and with a joyful expression on his face, says that he will get rich. They will all belong to him. He goes to this weapon and says that this is a script for a real protagonist. Blue Lie stood on a branch and looks at Lou Ren, who is not paying attention to him. He very quickly ran next to him and defeated him with one blow of his dagger. Lou Ren was very embarrassed by what happened and asked what it was. Did they really defeat him? He is the strongest hero. There must be something wrong with the system. All his equipment and money will disappear. Blue Lie silently walks away from him in the other direction and thinks that this guy talks too much. Sometime later, a large crowd rumbles towards him and loudly asks, "Where is the boss?" There are so many weapons here. He will be the one to defeat this boss. They will get rich after this. Blue Lie runs through the crowd of people with great speed and defeats them all with blows of his dagger. He puts his daggers behind his back and says that 444 kills is too few. However, this talkative guy reminded him of something. He presses the button that says notebook. Blue Lie wrote the coordinates of the forest of giants that he should come here faster. Fei writes that he received it. Why shouldn't he become this kind of woman? Is it his weapon or his clothes? Or did he prepare equipment for him? Sometime later, Fei comes to the right place that they wrote to him about and sees a huge amount of weapons sticking out of the ground. He was very confused by what he saw and said that it was amazing. After some time in the forest, where a very strong energy emanates, which frightened the birds in a large radius, the girl defeated the huge monster, and the system congratulates her on the fact that she successfully killed the 15th level monster, the giant warrior, Huey Jen. In the system window, it says that this is Luna, level 18, swordsman class. Attributes: strength, intelligence, agility, endurance, resistance, and charm 60 points. Achievement: Shining Star. This title can be obtained by reaching the top 100 in the region in terms of combat power. In the system window, it is written that she received a Heart of Resistance, the level 15 required to wear it, universal for all classes. Strength is 100 points. All characteristics are increased by 10 points. Feature: when attacking, there is a 20% chance to increase resistance by 20 points. Blue Lie looks at her and wonders, can players outrun an epic level boss? This is the first time he has seen this. She should check her details again. The elf agrees and tells the owner that she has found information about the Moonlight Knight. In the system window, it is written that the Moonlight Knight is a hidden swordsman class, a special skill, a mixture of physical and magical attacks, as well as great endurance. Luna wonders why she feels like she's being watched. Someone is definitely nearby. Several guys are walking in the direction, and the one walking ahead asks, "Who is this here?" It's an epic level item, isn't it? Maybe she'll let them take a closer look at it. He had never seen anything like this before. Luna looks at them with a calm expression and asks if they want to fight for this. The man with a sly expression asks, "What is she saying?" It's not like that at all. They just want to be friends with her. Maybe they will take the weapon from her to wear for a few days. He promises to return it. If she doesn't believe it, she can add him to WeChat. Blue Lie looks at this from a tree branch, thinks that the cats are fighting, the mice are free. Luna agrees and says he can take it if he can. Two guys are walking towards her with weapons, and the man who is saying something says that it seems that she does not intend to give it up voluntarily. Then his brothers will help her make up her mind. Luna slowly unsheathes her sword as the two guys walk towards her. She uses the Star Strike skill and uses very strong magical power to defeat the two guys. The man who was watching this from afar was very confused and says that it seems that everything is not so simple. Luna walks slowly next to him, and the man says that he is the leader of Jai Zhang's team. Is she even listening to him? She doesn't answer him and cuts off his head with a very quick blow. Whoa, understood. He asks with a calm expression if he has seen enough here. He must come out before her. Lulai immediately jumps off the tree branch and stops in front of her. Luna looks at him and wonders, is this the boss? Does he want to fight her here? The gang may soon return to take revenge. This boss is very militant. Lulai looks at her with a serious expression and wonders, was she able to detect him? The cost of killing her is too high. It's not worth it. They both think that they should start this battle and immediately rush towards each other. They did not have time to do anything because members of the Jai Zhang gang came to them, who came to the rescue and loudly said that this was the girl. She killed their brother. True brothers, there are enough of them here. They must show their power and avenge their brothers. Luna notices them and thinks that they came here very quickly. Lulai turns around, notices the boss attack team that came after him and wonders, is this a new wave? These people who follow him loudly say that the boss is here. They must catch him soon. Luna and Lulai very quickly turn away from the crowd of people that came after them and look at each other. They run past each other very quickly and do nothing to each other. He jumps over the crowd of Jai Zhang members who came to help, and this group of people asks, what did it fly past them? Is this the boss? They should leave him alone, because they have gathered here to avenge their brother. Luna escapes through the boss attack command and runs past them. People notice her and say she's no slouch. She decided to team up with us, and they are a professional team. All the people who were here were surprised and outraged by what happened. Gang member Jai Zhang, who came to the rescue, loudly says that they must not let this girl escape. The man from the boss attack team loudly says that the boss ran there. They must catch up with him. Two groups of armed players run at each other and shout very loudly. They bump into each other, causing confusion, and they say he bumped into someone. They need to get out of the way. They need to catch up with the girl. They must get out of his way. He will do everything to catch up with the boss. The good dog will not get in the way. He stepped on his foot. Why did he grab him? A fight breaks out, and someone says that they should show at least a little respect and not touch him. At the same time, while a battle is taking place between the two groups, Lulai and Luna run very quickly towards each other. They both swing their weapons at the same time and are about to attack. One of the men notices them, starts shouting very loudly to attract the attention of the others, and loudly says that they are back. Lulai runs through the crowd of these people very quickly and delivers many quick strikes. Luna also hits very hard using her magic and defeats a large crowd of people. Panic begins among people and the girl speaks, that he shouldn't approach her. She uses the fireball technique. The guy is embarrassed by this and loudly says that she should not use magic indiscriminately. The elf uses the arrow strike skill and shoots several arrows from his bow. One of the arrows hits the man's back, and this attracts his attention. A fight begins between these people using the magic of different elements, and because of all this, a large curtain of dust appears. People who survive the incident cough and ask if they killed him. He doesn't know it. It looks like he himself will die faster. They almost killed him in a group attack. Suddenly, Lulai runs out of a large cloud of dust and says that this is the end of the hunt. He lands a lot of his strikes very quickly and defeats a lot of players. Someone asks very loudly, is this some kind of mistake? Does this boss really have unlimited skills? Lulai defeats all the players who were in this place, and the system notifies that he defeated 999 players out of the 1,000 he created and seized with him, who is standing not far from him. They both run very fast towards each other to end this battle. They collide with each other and strike once using strong energy. The system notifies that he has defeated 1,000 players and completed the task. Sometime after what happened, Luna, who left the game, sits in a wheelchair next to the old woman and looks out the window. The old woman tells the spy that the master and his wife invited her to dinner. Luna sits with a virtual reality helmet on her feet and says that they can eat, but she is not hungry. She sits at the table on which her cat sits and thinks about something and writes something in a notebook. She wrote, "Bye family, bye Zio-Yu. Ghost Moon strategy. It is assumed that the attack will be equal to from 75 to 80 points, from 100 to 105 points. Advanced level, wisdom. At the same time in the game, the system notifies that he has successfully completed the task, killing 1,000 players. He's given a random reward. His reward is divine appearance. This is a mythical item. The owner can change his appearance. New appearance, passive talent, knowledge of another language. Communication with races such as humans, elves, sirens, and the like. Words of God. Can a mask change your life? Lulai looks at this earring that appeared in his hand and thinks that this is a mythical equipment. This is a reward for killing thousands of players. This prop will be useful to him. The system congratulates him for passing the Fenyan competition. The reward for participation in the event is calculated. He gets 1,000 points. The level rises to 20. A new skill learned, a sharp blade, enhances a normal attack, deals 180% of physical damage to the target, and ignores 20% of the target's defense. Increases the chance of injuring the target by 20%. After all this, Lulai passes through the portal and ends up back in the arena. Everyone here is cheering very loudly for what he just did. Quick says loudly that they congratulate the participant on successfully completing the competition. He achieved impressive results, killing 1,000 enemies. The turtle says that it can be said that he is worthy of the name Funky Star. Spectators throw confetti and shout loudly with joy. The system notifies that he has received the Fenyan Star achievement. Blue light goes to Yu Yu and Zhuang Huai walks away from them with a very angry expression on his face. She looks at him with indifference and says that he is a good boy for not disgracing her. Blue light doesn't answer her and stands silently in front of him. Yu chuckled at his reaction. She creates a red portal with her magic and says it's time for them to go. Blue Light follows her and puts her weapon in her inventory. The system notifies that the City of the Blood Moon is one of the secret kingdoms. There was an improvement in the pedigree. They are transported into this space and see a large red lake in front of them. Blue Light looks around the place and thinks that by revealing the hidden plot, he thought that all the secrets would be revealed to him, but there is no game plan here. What is going on? Yu turns to him and asks if he knows why the Bloody Claw, being at the same level, was still strong. Lulai looks at this place and says that it is because of genetics. Yu says that he turned out to be not stupid. He says that just like equipment, players have different attributes. This difference lies in origin. However, his pedigree is too low. Did she bring him to this place to improve his origins? Yu looks at the big red lake and agrees. She says that this is one of her secret worlds. Secret Lake of Blood. She points at something and says they should stop talking. He must choose the place he likes best and begin. She turns to him and says that now everything depends on his luck. At the same time, the City of the Blood Moon, the Temple of the Northern Moon, someone breaks a bottle of red liquid on the floor with a loud sound. Zhuang Huai sits on his throne and loudly says that he is not done with Yu yet. He gets very angry and says loudly that if it weren't for the Bloodline clan, he wouldn't be so ashamed in front of this woman. A man stands next to him and tells the Lord that he should calm down. He smiles and says it's not that bad. The Lion clan intended to befriend him. He must understand that anyone is ready to stand up for their student. He shouldn't be so angry. Zhuang Huai calms down a little and says that even thinking about it still infuriates him. The man says he's not exactly sure. He didn't finish, and Zhuang Huai allows him to speak. The man says that at first glance, there is no way he can resist Wai Yu. However, they may have no effect. He came closer to him and spoke very quietly in his ear about what they could do. Zhuang Huai thinks about this and says that this is pretty good. That's what they will do. Sometime later, Wu Lai is in the middle of the blood lake and absorbs the red energy. Wu Yu looks at him from the shore and thinks that his absorption speed surprises her. He has quite high potential. She felt someone's presence, it attracts her attention, and she turns to the side. She sees a man from the City Lord's Black Death Guard loudly calling out to Wai Yu and saying that they have received orders. She must go to the main city immediately. She stands in front of this man and asks if they can't see that she's busy. She will go there when she is free. The man shows the scroll with the order and says that it is the order of the Lord. Will she dare to disobey him? As soon as such an order is issued, the recipient must immediately appear. Otherwise, there will be no Wai Yu is very annoyed by what is happening. She looks back at Lu Lai and says that rockfalls happen here sometimes. She hopes it doesn't kill her. She approaches the army. The man points her in the direction and says that she should come this way. He turns around and looks at Lu Lai, who is in the middle of the lake absorbing strong energy. While no one is paying attention to him, he smiles very evilly and slyly. After a short time, Lu Lai continues to absorb strong red energy, and a red ball of the same energy appears above his head. He bends his legs towards himself, and a very strong sphere appears above his head and energy surrounds him. While he is busy absorbing energy, several armed people approach him and look at him. This is Master Zhuang Huai's subordinate, the Shadow Force. He stops and makes a hand sign for the others. He lowers his hand as a sign that they should go forward. Immediately afterwards, several people attack Lu Lai and jump on him while he is trapped in a ball of energy. He continues to be in this ball while a very strong stream of red energy swirls around him. Suddenly, Lu Lai's face appeared and he opened a red eye. At the same time, a man with a crowd of guards accompanies Wu Yu along the path that leads upward. The man looks at her with a smile and wonders what's wrong with her. She needs to be obedient when giving orders from above. Wai Yu at this time is looking towards the bloody lake, where Lu Lai is now and is waiting for something. She sat down on a stone, and this greatly surprised the guards who were following her, and the main man turns around and looks at her in disbelief. He calls her name and asks what is she doing. Wai Yu ignores him and thinks that it is a beautiful sight from here. One of the guys who carried out the assassination attempt on Lu Lai swings his weapon as he falls and says that he will do it himself. He delivers a very strong blow with his weapon to the huge ball of energy that contained their target. A large ball of energy bursts, and all the people standing next to it look at it. The ball of energy collapses, and they see Lu Lai, who is inside. One of the guys with daggers looks at it and asks if they succeeded or not. The guy who stands next to him doubts this and says that it seems so. Suddenly someone says that they should stop talking and take their weapons. They all immediately run towards Lu Lai, who got out of the ball of energy. He got himself a human body, and with a horn on his forehead, and looks at his hand, while strong energy flies around him. Two guys who were not far from him were surprised by what they had just seen, and one of them was about to say that they should be careful. He does not have time to finish because Lu Lai, who was moving very quickly, cut off both of their heads. The leader among this gang is very shocked by what he saw and asks how this is possible. He very loudly tells everyone that the information turned out to be false. They must attack together. They need to look around and use the second tactic. A crowd of people immediately, on his orders, run towards Lu Lai, who stands still and calmly looks at them. They all simultaneously deliver their blows, but he manages to jump back and dodge these attacks. Several guys suddenly got holes in their bodies and were very surprised by it. Lu Lai squeezes their hearts, which he just tore out with his own hands. The head of the Shadow Squad is very angry about what just happened and runs very quickly towards him to attack and screams loudly. He uses the Shadow Blade skill and makes many very fast strikes with his weapon, which Lu Lai dodges. The leader of the Shadow Squad swings his weapon, filled with strong energy, and loudly says that he will kill him. Blue Eye looks at him with a calm expression, smiles a little and chuckles because of this. The head of the Shadow Squad was very surprised by what he saw when he ran closer to him. He jumps back after this with his arms wide open, holding on to his hand, from which blood flows. Blue Eye stands in the same place and holds his hand. The head of the Shadow Squad stopped, looks at his opponent with an angry expression on his face, and thinks that the data turned out to be incorrect. This guy turned out to be too strong. He feels a lot of pain and thinks he needs to kill him anyway. He remembers something that happened some time ago. The man tells the people from the Shadow Squad that they are the pride of Master Zhuang Huai and the Northern Moon Temple. They must complete their mission. That is the order. They are the support of the Temple of the Northern Moon. This represents the will of Master Zhuang Huai. The glory of the Blood Moon is with them. The leader of the Shadow Squad screams loudly out of anger and uses a secret technique. He called the rest of the squad over and loudly tells his brothers that they must complete this task together at any cost. They use the blood sacrifice technique, impaling themselves with their weapons and loudly saying that the glory of the Blood Moon is with them. Energy emanates from them, which is redirected to the leader of the detachment. He slowly walks towards his opponent, while the powerful energy he received emanates from him, and loudly says that he must die. Blue Eye stands still and calmly looks at what he is about to do. The leader of the Shadow Squad swings his weapon, which is filled with very strong energy, and is about to strike a very strong blow. Blue Eye runs towards him very quickly, and is about to grab him. Suddenly, as he ran, half of his body began to turn back into a skeleton. The head of the Shadow Squad smiles, looking at him and grins. He strikes very hard with his sword, releases his energy, but Lu Lai leans down and dodges this attack. Immediately after this, he came closer to him and dealt a very strong blow to his neck with his dagger, which surprised him very much. The severed head of the Shadow Squad flies away, his energy dissipates, and he wonders what it was. At the same time, someone is watching him from afar and sees how Lu Lai defeated this head of the Shadow Detachment. Yu stands next to him and claps after what she saw and says that it wasn't bad. It seems that the Fengyun competition has left its mark on him. Lu Lai turns to her and asks, "Were these Zhuang Huai's people?" Yu says that he understood everything correctly. Those who wanted to kill him and take her away were Zhuang Huai's people. Lu Lai asks where they wanted to send her. Not far from this place, the consequences of her actions are visible, and Yu says that she herself has already sent them somewhere. He approaches her and asks if she lured them out on purpose. Is this the second test for him? Yu doesn't answer what he asked, and looks at what's between his legs with a small smile. Lu Lai was very embarrassed by this, and covered himself with his hands. She got very angry about this, and asked why he was hiding. She orders him to remove his hands. She is happy with him. Can he say what he wants? She will fulfill his every wish. Lu Lai says that he wants to ask about someone. He looks at her with a serious expression and says that this man's name is Han Yixiao. Yu closes his eyes and takes a deep breath. She got ready and says that he left a long time ago. Perhaps he has already died. They stand opposite each other for some time in a stream of dust flies between them. Lu Lai looks at her with a serious expression and asks what happened to her. Yu looks at him and says that this is the second question. She looks at him and notices that he is squeezing his hand very tightly out of anger. She felt sorry for him and says that she can tell him, but first he must answer her. She remembers what happened before and says that from the moment he heard about Han Yixiao at the competition, he often looked at her. Then he thought it through and showed his best side. All this in order to get close to her to find out about her student. It turns out it's for him. Lu Lai realized that she was interested and said that he was his older brother. He is immersed in memories from his distant childhood in a social security institution. Several guys are laughing very loudly, and one of them is holding a pink rabbit toy in his hand. The guy standing in the middle shows them this rabbit, laughs and says that they should continue playing. Fei trembles with fear and asks them to return the rabbit to him, because his mother gave it to him. Lu Lai, who is beaten strong, stands in front of him to protect him. One of the guys repeats what Fei just said to annoy him. Another guy throws away the book he was holding in his hand and asks, is he still pretending to be a hero? The guy standing in the middle laughs at them and holds the rabbit by the paws with both hands. He smiles looking at them and says that this is actually an orphanage. They were all adopted by his mother. They are nothing more than just trash. He rips off the paws of a toy rabbit and says that all the things here belong to him, and he can do whatever he wants with it. Ah-Fei starts crying and asks him not to do this and give it to him. Lulai grabs something he was hiding in his jacket and walked towards them. He takes out a pen with a sharp tip and is going to fight with him. Suddenly, behind the backs of these three guys, someone jumps in their direction, swings some kind of stick and screams loudly to attract their attention. This guy takes a really hard blow to the head of a guy who tore the legs off a toy bunny with a broom. This guy throws a lot of hard punches at these three evil guys, and they can't do anything to him. The guy who broke the toy bunny says he made a mistake and asks to be rescued. The guy with the broom let them go, and after that they ran away and loudly called their mother for help. The guy with the broom took the pink bunny, turns around and says that everything is fine now. Ah-Fei looks at him with very strong admiration and says that he is cool. Lulai looks at him in disbelief and asks who he is and why he helped them. The guy turns to them completely with a smile and says that his name is Han Xiao. If they have any problems, they can just smile and everything will go away. From now on, he will protect them. No one will bully them anymore. Lulai in the present says that he is the closest person to him. He is like family to him. Why he thinks about something, but doesn't say anything to him and remembers something from the past. She plunges into a memory in which Han Xiao calls her a master and asks with a smile if she can give him an ordinary weapon. He also has two younger brothers. An older brother should give his best to his younger ones. Wuyu says the word purgatory with a thoughtful expression on his face. Lulai, who is standing in front of her, did not understand her and asks what does this mean. She looks at him and says that to him. She remembers something that happened some time ago. Quig says it's amazing Han Xiao defeated the Good Knight. He once again confirmed his status as the winner. The turtle says that he has won 10 victories in a row. This participant became a real legend. Waiyu says that after that, after he won for the 10th time in a row, he entered Fengyan as usual, but did not return. Quig said that the Fengyan battle ended 4 hours ago. This can't be. The competition has already come to an end. He had to return. Waiyu says that she searched for him for a long time, but then found out that the last place he was seen was in Purgatory. Lulai says that knowing his location, she couldn't. She does not have time to finish, because Wuyu realized that he wants to find out and says that she cannot do this. She cannot teleport to this place. That world is blocked by an unknown force, so she cannot get there. Lulai thinks about this and says that means she can't get there. This place is called Purgatory, and you cannot teleport there. He calls the elf assistant, after which she immediately appears next to him and tells the owner that she is here. Lulai asks her to check the information about Purgatory. The elf says that she will now check it for him, but unexpectedly some interference appears from her. The system notifies that the request was rejected or an error occurred. Lulai asks, is there some kind of error? You need to query this in the database. The elf tells the owner that he does not have such powers. He says that then you need to switch the interface to manual input. Waiyu looks at him and wonders, is he talking to himself? Lulai looks at the system window that opened in front of him and thinks that he needs to calm down. Purgatory is where he was last online and where he was spotted. In that place he can find the answer. The system window says that he must enter a password. Lulai enters his password and clicks on it. It is written that his number is 18208. The database is entered. An endless stream of information consisting of binary code appears around him, and he looks around. He examines many windows of the system, and the system notifies him that he should receive the Purgatory code. Lulai is surprised by this and asks what kind of code is this. The system notifies that an illegal intrusion has been detected and a closure protocol is activated. Lulai orders to open the original code, but the red windows of the system do not disappear, and he wonders how this is possible. Is the original code being rewritten now? The system notifies that a forced expulsion is taking place. The windows of the system that surrounded Lulai begin to disappear, and he wonders how this is possible. wife, who is standing next to him, says that this is all she knows. If he doesn't believe it, he can go looking for it himself. Blue Lai looks at her and thinks that if he goes to that place, he can find out everything. He approaches her and asks if he can ask her a question. Why, you ask? Because you want to ask her a question. Blue Lai asks her how he can get to that world. The elf flies up to him and with a smile tells the owner that she knows how to return to the game world. Wu Yu says that she only knows the name, Fengyun Platform. There is a time limit. He doesn't seem to be very patient. Han Yixiao plunged into the bloody lake twice and did not return. And now he is also planning to go there. Lu Lai thinks about what she said and remains silent for a while. The elf tells the owner that she knows how to return to the player's world. He was surprised when he heard this and asks how can he do this. The elf flies away and tells the owner that he must stopped him by asking where he was going. Lu Lai turns to her and says that there is a way that will help him get into the world of players. She didn't understand what he meant and asked if he said the world of players. He says that's what she always calls that world. Wu Yu thinks this sounds interesting and says that she will wait for good news from him. After some time, somewhere in a large forest, where a very
Вижу
strong
край. Ima se sledeći put, prepati se i podeli. Pozdrav.